Hey everyone! Welcome to my channel Frosted Flies. I'm Reese, and this is my usually silly and weird channel where I post whatever the hell I want. But I won't be doing that today. Today I'm talking about a serious topic and want to share my thoughts on Leo's past controversies and educate people about his recent controversy, which unfolded from November 27th to the 29th this year, 2025. Leo, formerly known as LeoTheMushroom on YouTube, recently deleted his channel after an easily avoidable controversy. Trigger warning for topics of racism, manipulation, rape, child endangerment, and grooming. Please do not harass anyone mentioned or alluded to in this video. I made this video to educate and discuss the rights and wrongs of Leo's actions. Leo was a popular Therian YouTuber with over 100,000 subscribers, likely more before his controversy and channel deletion. Leo is a 17-year-old, and I firmly believe he is dealing with a mental health crisis. Leo was a friend of mine for a couple of months. We didn't talk much, but VC'd and chatted a couple of times on a mutual friends Discord server. When I first joined this space, I realized it was full of children. Shocker. Ever since I first met Leo, he has been very clearly someone ignorant of his own fame. On multiple occasions, Leo would vent to us about his haters and ask for input on what to do, complaining about how mean people are to him and how stressed he gets from having to deal with all the negativity. During these occasions, I told him to just ignore it because that's how content creation goes. You can't be a popular creator without dealing with some amount of hate, but I always wondered, why was he getting so much? Homegrown is a multiple chapter story about a character falling in love with a rapist. Leo wrote this story around late June and early July this year. He linked it in the description of his channel for his audience of children to see. I was never able to read this book, and Leo deleted it. However, I was able to read his apology. I don't have access to his apology or accountability doc, so I'm going off of what I wrote when I first read it and a summary of Leo's story written by someone he was close to at the time. I will not be naming them for privacy's sake. Trigger warning for rape, abuse, sexual assault, and grooming. If you want to skip the summary of his story and go straight to my thoughts without the triggering details, go to this timestamp. In Chapter 1, we follow Leo's Sona, Sprout. A 17-year-old lived in a home with abusive parents, and in the first paragraph, his parents break down the door and beat him in heavy detail. Sprout runs away to a gas station where he meets Noah, a 19-year-old who invites Sprout to his home and gives him his first pair of clothes. He stays there for 2 years. Noah gets drunk and brutally rapes him and forces him to have sex, and invites his friends over to do the same. Noah says, "You owe me this," during the graphic scene. In Chapter 2, we meet a succubus character named Otis. His age is unknown, but he's implied to be over 18. He does tasks for Satan, and one of them is to sexually assault people while they're asleep. Otis also makes a point that they do the same thing to minors. Otis is tasked with sexually assaulting Sprout, but he can't because he fell in love with Sprout after hearing about his experience with Noah, whom Sprout doesn't end up naming. Otis brings Sprout to his motel, and Sprout says he can have his way with him. But Otis doesn't do it and gets summoned to hell, where Satan threatens him to do it, or he will take over his body and do it himself. In Chapter 3, Otis meets Noah and invites him to hang out. Sprout is there, and Noah tries to sexually assault him, saying that he just wants to talk. Otis and Noah get in a fight. Otis then gets in trouble for still not sexually assaulting Sprout. Otis changes genders to get away from Satan, gets sexually assaulted by a bunch of people, groping and using his body to learn how to pleasure a man. Otis escapes, then is taken over by Satan and rapes his friend. Sprout kills Otis. Otis and Sprout meet up in hell, kill Satan, and then start dating. I'm unsure if there are more chapters, but what I am sure about, though, is that this is one of the most disgusting portrayals of rape I've ever seen. I believe Leo made art of at least the first chapter depicting the rape scenes. I'm not sure about the others. My thoughts on this book are that it sucks. And whoever had to read this, I feel incredibly sorry for. From what I know, Leo wrote an apology that was well written enough for his audience, but it doesn't really explain why he thought it was okay to share this with children. Saying this book was for 16 plus isn't enough. If you search up LeoTheMushroom on YouTube, you can find a video where he is tagged in of a homegrown animation a child fan of his made. This video is still up as of uploading this, so please don't harass this person. They are very clearly a child. I am only stating this because it is clear that his actions, whether he meant to or not, have groomed his audience of young, impressionable fans. His ignorance and disgusting actions have forced children into thinking this kind of shit is okay. I remember seeing comment after comment of people forgiving him, and even wanting to read Homegrown after it was deleted. But even summarized, I just can't get this disgusting feeling to go away. This is only the start of his ignorance towards his fame. Leo should never have had a platform in the first place, especially after Homegrown. Leo had a problem with sharing things he shouldn't. When you're a YouTuber, the first rule of thumb is to keep your personal life separated from your online one. Leo has never once done this. Leo shares traumas, his issues with his parents, and his day-to-day ups and downs. Leo also shares a lot of art with self-harm and shirtless guys. This, in and of itself, wouldn't be an issue, but Leo knew his audience was young and chose to share these things, believing it was okay because he put a trigger warning first. But it's not. Kids are going to look anyways. That's just what they do. Children are easily influenced. They could research what self-harm scars are and try it on their own, just because their favorite YouTuber does. Leo shared with his audience on the 24th of November this year that he uses age regression to cope with the picture of a binky and a sippy cup attached. This is not something you share with 100,000 children on the internet. I will be reading this quote in its entirety. A lot of people use this coping skill to relive or reimagine their childhood as a better place. I had a rough childhood in my home and family, so I use this as a coping skill. I feel a bit embarrassed about it, but I think it's important for me to show that it's nothing to be ashamed of. It's a really, really good coping skill. So, anyways, I got these in the mail today for my age regression. I got 3 bottles and a binky. Also got some for a friend that does age regression. I won't be posting a pic of me using these because I feel uncomfortable with that, and some might take it out of context. So here is what some of them look like to my fellow age regressors. Don't feel ashamed of this coping skill you have. It's completely okay and a great mechanism, but don't feel a need to post about it. It's your own personal business. But if you have a large platform and you share this type of information with children, that is where my problem with it lies. The last phrase he says, it's your own personal business. Leo was aware that this was something incredibly personal, and even got in trouble for it. His dad took away his phone for this. Leo has not gone to therapy for his trauma, yet he spouts that he knows this is a common thing people do, and tells his audience it's an excellent coping skill to have. Why the fuck would you genuinely tell your audience this is good? This is a coping skill that you should not share, because this can actively stop mental development and teach children to follow his advice instead of a trusted adult who can help them. Leo sent vent after vent once he got in trouble for this, saying he needed to move out and how much he was struggling. But he got in trouble because his father could see all of his online posts. Leo should never have shared this with his audience. He should have gone to his dad and asked him to get therapy. This kind of coping is clear in people who have had to endure a lot of suffering as a child and is something that requires a lot of sensitivity. Leo sharing it with thousands of people is not normal. Leo put himself and his audience in potential danger by posting this. He told thousands of children that if they struggle with childhood trauma, they should try age regression instead of seeking help from their loved ones, because it's a really good coping skill. His actions are normalizing a coping mechanism for people with trauma. But this specific method to his audience is very irresponsible, because advertising age regression to children can stunt their mental growth and even lead to psychosis. That is what this post will read to children who enjoy his content, and may even be struggling with the same thing he does. Children want to be like their idols. They want to dress like them, act like them, create what they do, and see their favorite creator as a source of comfort. This is not normal behavior. This is another instance of Leo's repeated ignorance of his own fame and audience. I also want to add that if you struggle with any trauma of any kind, looking at influencers to help you is not a standard way to deal with those traumas. And posting about your ways of coping online to thousands of people is also not. These actions put your life in danger. Depending on who can see your posts or content, you can get groomed, caught by your guardian, or even potentially targeted for bullying or harassment. If you're unable to seek help, you should reach out to a loved one, a friend, or someone of authority in your life. Don't be afraid to reach out when you're feeling down. This kind of trauma happens all the time. You are not alone. Please don't let one creator stop you from seeking help from those who care about you. We shouldn't normalize this type of public venting online, because it will only isolate us further from reality. Let's talk about Leon now. Leo's OC, Hipster Stoner. Leo backtracked a couple times, saying this character was just an OC, but it was clear, as someone who knows him, that this character was supposed to represent him and what he was currently hyperfixated on. When Leo first posted this design, a commenter told him to be careful with the hairstyle, because people might find it offensive. Leo responded to this commenter, saying that white people can have that hairstyle, and that it's not owned by one race. He also stated that Vikings created braids, and that hair is just hair. I initially defended Leo when he was asking for help, because I believed he wasn't making this character out of ignorance, but also because I've seen white dudes with dreadlocks before. Still, Leo was clearly trying to be someone he wasn't, and began manipulating the situation. He changed his attitude, stating his now OC was just a lion, and asked our mutual friends if it's okay. And I said, well, yeah, white people have dreadlocks sometimes, and as long as you're not using it offensively, then it's okay. But clearly this was not the case. Leo was hiding his ignorance, editing posts, and also put someone on blast who made a vague post about him, who then received multiple death threats. Leo did not delete his post after being called out when the user got death threats. He only edited their name out after the death threats were already happening. This is a clear sign of his disconnect from his audience. Leo, you are not using Discord. You are sharing someone's public channel and post to 100,000 viewers who worship the ground you stand on. You showcased how incapable you are of an audience this large with one single action. When I saw this information for myself, I told Leo I was done, and that I believed he was ignorant. I told him I didn't trust that he was going to stop feeding into his audience, which was basically an echo chamber, telling Leo it was okay. And I was right. Leo continued to post after this, blaming his audience for the death threats. Only at the end did he say he caused it, but not in detail. He never once owned up to the racist things he said. He never once owned up to the fact that he was using his audience to make himself feel better about his clearly jaded and ignorant mindset and deflected until the very end, even stating, "I will always stand for what I say and don't back down unless it's justified." Only after I expressed in the comments of his horribly worded post did he delete his channel there and then. No goodbye, no explanation. He deleted his whole channel, indirectly causing more harassment for those involved. The issue with his new Sona had nothing to do with the character design and everything to do with Leo. Leo was defensive that white people can have black hairstyles because black people don't own them. His kind characters had dreadlocks. Why can't his new Sonas? Why can't white people have what black people do? He cried until the very end, until he was educated, until he understood he was in denial and ignorance. Leo didn't delete his channel due to harassment. He did so out of shame. Shame and guilt for not only how he acted, but for how uneducated and immature he truly is. Leo is white. Leo doesn't have kinky curly hair. Leo doesn't tease and knot his hair until it turns into dreadlocks. Leo didn't even know what POC meant until I told him the same day all this drama was going down. Everyone who wasn't on Leo's side could see through his facade and could see the person he was trying so hard to be, while completely disrespecting and lying about the history of where those hairstyles and that culture came from. Everyone on Leo's side saw him as a victim, harassed by those who didn't think his OC was as cool as they did. All Leo had to do was Google, but he couldn't even do that. All Leo had to do was change the hairstyle, but he fought it because he wanted it that way. Leo didn't want to have a civil conversation as he claimed. He already knew what he wanted his Sona to be, and that was someone he wasn't. Leo deleting his channel was the cowardly way to go. I wish he had just owned up to what he did, cleared up any misconceptions, and taken responsibility for his actions, and not just this situation, but in those before it. I believe he feels shame and embarrassment for how this all went, but he couldn't stop himself from replying to all the hate and callouts once they started rolling in. Leo used his platform like a personal diary, and that's why people connected with him so easily. He showed who he was to thousands of people and revealed that he was genuine, but that genuine nature had consequences. Leo himself was too immature and caught up in his own struggles to keep up with his platform and the people he so desperately wanted to cater to. Leo was a friend, a comfort, and a happy face to see when you got home after a rough day or just wanted someone to relate to. He made things for people to enjoy, but it fell short once his ignorance came to light. If he weren't so terribly uneducated and irresponsible, I'm sure his channel would still be here today. Leo manipulated and potentially groomed children through his actions. He was not only reckless, but also clearly unprofessional. While Leo made content people loved, it was clear that he was not fit to have the fame he was given. People's posts weren't just out of hate. They were made because Leo made dangerous decisions around an audience of children, directly showing children self-harm through his art, venting his personal problems to his audience, grooming kids who read his disgusting book, and using his audience to send threats to people by using the guise of wanting to be educated, which at best is ignorance, and at worst is malicious. While his past controversy was worse, his recent one cemented his downfall. I just wanted him to think before he posts or comments, especially towards the hate, as I and many others have told him countless times to do. I believe he was ignoring how undyingly loyal his fans were because it would break the bubble he so carefully created. Even now, with him deleting his channel, it sends more harassment people's way. And that's why I made this video in the first place. I believe no one else understands how bad Leo's actions truly were, especially his audience that he so carelessly manipulated. Leo, if you're watching this video, which I assume you are, please do not return to this platform as a content creator until you have received help with your issues. Your actions are directly harming children, and they still do. Your fans still believe that you were harassed off this platform because you acted like a coward and deleted your channel without any explanation, causing them to assume you were the victim. You were not the victim. You never were. You should be embarrassed by how you handled yourself. You should be ashamed of your actions and grow from them. It's one thing to be uneducated, but it's another thing to manipulate and use others. You were never going to please every single person on this platform and continue to feed into your own delusions. You're probably reading comments on people's posts about you and your actions right now. I don't wish you any harm, and I hate that you have to read those things, but you need to wake the fuck up. Please seek therapy. Please try to find some kind of happiness outside of the audience you built, because they need to grow too. You created and weaponized an audience of children who knew no better than you did, and normalized your consistently disgusting and horrible behaviors. Your channel was over before you made that lion. I think you were just too scared to admit it. I don't regret ever being your friend, but I do regret not reaching out sooner and calling you out when I noticed this pattern of behavior. It's a good thing for you that your channel is gone, because now you can finally grow as a person instead of living on your screen. Those are my final thoughts. If you guys enjoyed this video, this will probably be my only drama type of video that I'm going to make. So thanks for stopping by, and thanks for watching till the end. Bye.